Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to church. I'm going to turn the echo off because that's real loud and annoying. Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and talk some more Umineko. So this is going to be episode 2 discussion. We are talking chapters 10 through 14. And yeah, let's go ahead and get it started since I've been making everybody wait way too long because I had to set this insanity up, which, by the way, based on where like my proportions are wildly out of whack for this scene, but it's fine. I just realized that if I put my hand like this, I could like kind of grab like I got his little hair. Anyway. All right, Jan, did you want to go ahead and take what was that?
It's sharp. Be careful.
Ooh. I'm bleeding. Jan.
What's up? I got this ready for you.
Yeah, let's go.
I just
Let's
want to make a note.
Yes.
On the chapter ordering. It's inconsistent from source to source. I'm not treating prologues as chapter 0. That's not a thing. It's the first chapter of the VN. So I'm considering 10 through 14 to be Halloween through Wolves and Sheep puzzle, just to be extremely specific on this.
Okay.
All right. So recap here. So we got Happy Halloween for Maria written all up in the chapel. Some normal stuff with the adults with their intestines all out of them. Good thing Rose is okay though. Then we got some meta layer shit going on. It's kind of happening on top of the scene. Canon gets a lightsaber.
Yes.
Beatrice can speak in red. Then Rosa starts arguing that a servant did it. And then Canon pops back out after being killed, and Bro's fingering his wound. And he fucking kills Nanjo and Kumasawa. What the fuck's going on there?
Slits their throats.
Did make note,
it's rough.
Yeah, I did make note of all of the new red truths. I will be keeping tabs on these for anyone to refer back to as they like. And
very helpful. Yeah, because this new mechanic of anything Beato says in red is a universal truth. It's just true. Like, hands down, no fuss, no muss, it is true. And there have already been okay, so I'll go ahead and start with just like sort of initial impressions. This was a really strong segment of chapters. Like, I feel like I'm really understanding Umineko now. I think I said it either on stream on Monday or on during our Discord meeting on yesterday on Tuesday. But like, I feel like I'm starting to understand that like Umineko is probably going to be a sort of like, I think it's going to be a lot of Beatrice kind of upping the ante, like from chapter to chapter. And because right now she's really kind of focusing on questions that were pretty obvious in the first chapter, and kind of leaning into that and being like, oh, you thought the way that I can't tell if it's just me, and I can't tell if like the whole Bobbler thing is just like y'all like having fun, or if it's literally just me. But I think it's more of like Ryukishi is doing a really good job like funneling people through his sort of thought process and leading people like me to come to these conclusions and then immediately responding to them and like twisting them around or like playing with your presuppositions. And it's really entertaining and fun. And it's like there were multiple points in this series of chapters where I said something and then it's said in the game like immediately, and like Battler says like that's ridiculous, like the whole thing with like the door puzzle, like where we are right now, this beautiful place where Halloween happened and many people died. So the idea that this was a closed room and playing around with that idea and focusing too much, I think I was like yelling like Bro is focusing so much on the closed room, like the fact that this is like a closed room, that he wasn't focusing on the key. And then like right after, Battler's like, let's go ahead and shift that focus and like focus on that. And I love the showdown, the multiple showdowns that have happened at this point. And I'm hoping that this happens a lot more, because I really like Battler giving it to Beatrice and just being like, okay, we have talked about the red text thing, so do me a favor, say this exactly. And she's like, okay, yeah. And then she does it, and then he'll be like, okay, say this exactly. And she's like, can't do it. Not gonna do it. It's like, we are gaining so much information based on those little things. And it's very fun. Right now, this is a lot of fun. Where I am having a lot of fun, and go ahead.
It's sort of like, okay, I assume everyone here is at least a little bit familiar with D&D. It feels like when you're going through it, I think it feels a little bit like you roll perception and the DM says, the room appears to be empty.
Yeah. Yes, it is very much playing with a DM who has thought through a lot of the story, if not like every facet of it, and so can respond to various like interjections and things. Has a really good grasp of the magic system, or at least it feels like that right now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. This whole sequence was there. Thankfully, there wasn't a lot of Rosa being mean to Maria. There was some Battler being mean to Maria, but I'm just going to pretend that he didn't say that shit. Much like he didn't say some of the shit that he said at the beginning of the game. So we're just going to go with that.
I love the red text. It's something you can only do in like a written medium. It's like, how can you tell someone, hey, say it in red? Like, it only works because you can read it. And
did they not do a special voice thing for the red text, or no?
They do. They have like a sound effect that plays, but that's
okay.
There's some versions of the Bible where spoken language by Jesus is done in red text.
Really?
Some people suggested that that's where Umineko got it from. But I think it's just a coincidence.
Yeah, it's very much a coincidence. You can see him playing around with the colors back in Higurashi as well. So, pretty famous in chapter 6. Yeah,
I think it's a lot more legible this time around.
Did anyone else want to talk about their thoughts? Some other new folks?
I mean, yeah, my thoughts on the red text is, again, I played the question arcs 15 years ago, never played the answer arcs, so I kind of know one or two things about the red. I think the red text is a brilliant mechanic. I think it's so smart. I think it's a really great way to take what is very much a mystery, a murder mystery that relies on the supernatural, and we can get into that later. And it's just like, no, these are the things we can objectively say. These are the things that we can say for sure are real. And I really like having that. It grounds me. It gives the story a lot of needed grounding, because otherwise you look at things like, I don't know, Canon pulling out a fucking lightsaber, and you're like, is this really happening? Is this happening in any sense of the word? What is this? And then Beatrice says something in red. That happened. That's reality. You need to explain it.
So on that point, really quick, because I do actually have I sort of took the topic on the red text in the document, and I have a couple specific questions I wanted to see what the new readers are feeling about it, which was I think, okay, so here it is. So I have a couple questions here. Number one is, how does having an objective truth affect your ability as a reader to attempt to solve the mysteries? And then,
do you want us to
okay.
just go through, tackle them one at a time? I think that would be better.
That's probably better, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, having an objective truth, it's funny because it's one of two things. So I was thinking about this earlier, where it's fascinating because we have the ability to, like, basically, well, not we, but this guy right over here has the ability to ask this lady right over here, this very specific pointed things, but in doing so, it kind of, the way this game embraces, like, the fact that it's a video game, the fact that it is, like, inherently magical. Like, we are going through the same events all over again. And that can't happen without magic. So already you've got to kind of caveat any sort of reading with that, like, sort of avenue of interest, of, like, inspection. But also, the way that it's sort of asking these things, it's kind of leaning into my idea that, like, all of these events can be explained, like, realistically. Like, you don't have to have magic. And I love that kind of, like, contradiction exists within Battler, this boy. Because immediately he's going through all these magical, like, situations, but he's like staunchly, no magic was used here. And I really like the idea for using the red text to basically, right now, I like that it's being used to, like, sort of highlight a realistic sort of interpretation of events, but also I can see how that might be leading us astray. That I think it's a good mechanic because I can see the twist potentially in it, but I don't think it gives too much away, is basically what I'm saying. I think it's a really healthy sort of, like, way to inject life into the conversation that normally wouldn't be happening. Normally you would just be like, yeah, sitting back, observing, and not reacting to anything, much like this image that Jan posted. Here, let me go ahead and show that to everybody.
Yeah, I think one of the things I like when they first introduced it, I like Beato just straight up says, to avoid us having just a circular argument where I go, I'd used magic, and you would go, no, you didn't, and we just keep going.
Yeah,
it's just an anchor
it's just
point
not
for
fun.
them to actually, have an
I
argument.
just wanted to
Perpetual
also,
chat.
it definitely does seem informed by his writing, with his experience with Higurashi and seeing how fans and readers engage with the work on certain levels, and even with, I think, the first installment of Umineko, of seeing, like, okay, at what points do people go, no, this is too much for me, I'm tapping out, there's nothing, I can't even engage with this. So, like, it does seem that on a certain level you need to tell people this is the opposite of the it was all a dream. Like, no, this is here, you do have something to engage with it.
Here are the tools, I'm giving them to you. Please do not stop thinking.
I mean, there is this fascinating element of just, like, Battler is trying to explain all these events he's being shown with logic, with human logic and human capabilities. But the fact is, he is talking to a witch. He is watching himself and his family go through this game that he has seen a different version of before. And he feels, and he seems perfectly capable of accepting that. And I think why that works is that for both Beatrice and Battler, this is a game. They are playing a game, and I think that's why the red text works so well, because it gives rules to the game. It's a very good rule for this game to have, that when Beatrice says something in red, it is the truth, and Battler has to work around that. And the Battler can ask Beatrice questions and say, hey, say this in red. And I think it's also great that Beatrice can say, I refuse, because Battler could just say, hey, say witches exist in red, and Beatrice would just go, I refuse, because the whole point of the game is for her to get him to submit without that happening.
And what does she want? What does she want Battler to do? Say it.
Kiss her toes.
Kiss the toes.
Kiss her toes.
And it's like, Beatrice, all you got to do is ask. Like, I'm sure, like, you. Anyway.
But it's
Battler's
not fun
ready
to
for
just
that.
ask.
Battler's not ready for that part of himself yet.
Say it in red. Say it,
Say
and
it
he
in
will
red.
kiss my toes.
Say it in. Oh God.
Can I just throw something out there real quick that I was thinking about earlier that may or may not be of any significance? Battler seems to have a color, and it is red. Interesting. Anyway.
So
what was the second one?
Yeah, so another part of my question was, so the way I worded it here was, how would you normally determine what's true in a mystery? So, like, I guess what I'm driving at with this part of the question is just that, like, we have the tool here of the red text that Ryukishi is giving us to, like, tell us, hey, this is what's true, and you need to figure it out based on that. But, like, when you're reading another, mystery story or watching another mystery story, whatever, like, I'm interested in what sort of tools you take from it to, like, determine, okay, what can I trust, what can I not trust, and, like, how this is sort of different. I mean, like, obviously it's different because, one, you're being told versus not being directly told, but, like, how does that feel different?
I think when reading it's been a long time since I've read like a classic mystery novel, but reading those, there is the sense of, because it's kind of like stage magic writing one of those, because the whole point is the author has you see in your mind's eye what they want you to see. They are guiding you along, and so they are misdirecting you in order to make the twist and the reveal satisfying. That's how a mystery works. Umineko is a little bit different because it's very much focused on the idea of an unreliable narrator. And when a goat man and cannon pull out their lightsabers because they're furniture and furniture have lightsabers, obviously, that's the part where you stop going, okay, that's the part where I as a reader stop going, okay, I'm being shown like a trick of the light or something, and then going into, this is a more metaphorical thing that I'm being shown. Either witches are real, or this is something of or this is an illusion of sorts.
Oh, sorry, real quick. Someone in the stream chat mentioned, so that they mentioned Nox in the text, and they were wondering what that was referring to. I can answer that real quick. So Nox was a mystery novelist, I believe he was a novelist, but he wrote down a list of rules that are like sort of heuristics, like best practices for mystery novelists to follow. And it's a list of 10 rules. And that's what they would be referring to, which is
that's Ronald A. Knox, I believe.
Yeah,
right.
Ronald Knox was part of the detective club, which I believe Agatha Christie was also part of, where it's just a group of people writing mystery novels for each other, and it's one of the 10 rules he wrote for the detective club, I believe.
Yeah.
Rule number 5 is worrying.
Well, okay.
Hold on. Are you talking about that one? Because if it's that one, it's saying don't do racial stereotypes.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
A lazy
Yes,
cop-out.
exactly.
Yeah, it's just funny that like they they word it in a way that definitely contains slurs.
Okay, to
what could
elaborate,
be racially problematic on an Agatha Christie novel?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but for people wondering, you can look up.
Please, sir, this is church.
You can look up what he basically says, which is don't make a insert racial minority the culprit.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here's this, like, so there's the stereotype of the it's clearly this whatever stereotype because they're shifty and evil and untrustworthy. Don't make them the culprit. That's lazy. That's not helping any. That's not a good mystery. You didn't do anything.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
I think the only thing that's worrying about it is just that the way it's phrased makes it seem like, well, obviously the foreigner's the bad guy, so they can't be it. Come on. And it's like, I gotta unpack this, man. Anyway, that's not.
Speaking of phrasing, red text requires phrasing.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, like, sorry. Derail.
We were talking a little bit about the way that perspective was being used, I believe. And it reminded me of, there's the Mystery of the Yellow Room, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like, I think Poe might have done the actual first locked room mystery.
It might have been. Is that the one with
but-
the solution I think it is? Because if so, that's a really funny solution and so
Yeah,
dumb.
but the Yellow Room was done by the same author as the Phantom of the Opera. Let me see here, Gaston
is that
Leroux.
Gaston? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just thinking about the way that different perspectives are being utilized in a very interesting way in Umineko, because obviously we see the point of view move around a lot and like what that says. And I just remembered there's this one scene in the Yellow Room where so there's the protagonist, detective. He's a teenager at the time, and then there's like this famous detective that's brought in, and there's this one point for this one scene where it shifts perspective to, and this is a transcript by a like a fucking stenographer or something. This is a transcript by someone else who we have not followed before, who just wrote down the events of this famous confrontation that happened where the detective pointed out the culprit. It just completely shifts perspective for this one scene, so that at the very end it has this very impactful element of the protagonist who we've been following more closely before. So then we're not in his head anymore. We're not really following, not like we have his first person thoughts, but then he can stand up and say, no, I believe in him. He didn't do it. Like the way that shifting perspective within the same narrative can be used in a mystery, I think is really interesting about like the framing and what it says about like what it's priming you for. And I think it's being utilized very effectively here.
I'm not entirely parsing what you're saying, because what that made me think of is there is this rule in writing against if there's a character who you're in the head of, the reader is in the head of, and the audience even, and you're in their head for a very long period of time, and then they're whispered some crucial information by somebody else, and suddenly the reader audience is no longer in their head. They're not privy to the information, and they have to, judge it by how the character reacts to it, which is always, with shock. That's sort of the other way that's sort of the way that shifting perspective doesn't work. And I don't think Umineko does that. At least I don't feel like it's doing that right now. But I do think there is a little bit of the way they're using the way Umineko is playing with perspective is purely artistic right now, and I hope it doesn't become a crutch. And I can't really know if it's a crutch until I find out, answer arcs.
Thinking of perspective, I did get an answer to my previous question last book club, what the relationship between Battler and Battler in the meta layer and Battler in the game are.
No, go on.
It seems that, at least from what they're saying, that they do not share 100% of knowledge from the scenes where Meta Battler says that he doesn't know what in-game Battler is talking about, and how in-game Battler does not refer to any information that is outside of his loop.
Yeah, no, Battler, the Battler talking to Beatrice and the Battler in the mansion are not in communication with each other, which, I think if they were, that would be a little bit stupid and a little bit OP for them to be overpowered,
Just real quick, Ultimate Trainer, UT, have you shared your thoughts yet?
About
just the red
perspective?
truth. Yeah, or just anything. Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of zoned out.
That's fair.
I think UT. Do you have you been drinking anything? Have you been like maybe partaking in some some tea of some kind?
I wish. Maybe I'm just dehydrated.
Oh well, I would caution against using any tea that has random shit floating in it, because I think that might lead to bouts of paranoia and general confusion. Y'all, there's something going on. You can't, like, there are too many points in this story where the characters like drink something or eat something and then immediately shift into omega ultra paranoia mode.
You're saying we got Weed Song Time Cop too?
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
So you're saying that they're being drugged?
I don't, we ran into this issue with the last book club. I don't want to specifically be like, this is my theory. I'm throwing ideas out. I'm throwing.
Why not?
Well, because Battler's not doing it. Why should I?
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't want to be particular about. I don't want to have like a favorite theory. I do have an overarching theory. I have an idea of where things might go. I have one that I think is more probable than others, but I don't want to like really kind of like hold on to one, because I tried doing that with Higurashi and it blew up in my face.
Well,
so fuck that.
Let me rephrase your so Battler's goal is just prove that witches don't exist, right? He just has to have an argument. So in what you're saying is true. You can throw darts at a wall, and as long as it disproves the witch, you're good. But like the witch's side is always going to be like, okay, elaborate.
Yeah. And
I mean, it is very funny that you've come off that you laid out the theory in past book clubs, and then we get to the scene where the servants are all digging into the food after Rosa exiled them.
Yep.
And just having had you lay out that pattern of thinking and then watching it unfold in front of us.
I love
servants.
That was funny, but the thing that was the most funny about that was that I love when media does this. I don't care what media it is. In this case, this visual novel is good. I don't think I'm like shocking anybody by saying
what?
I think Umineko is pretty fucking good so far. But one of the things I love is when you connect the dots like right before the media that you're like watching or experiencing connects them for you and like makes shit fucking explode. I love when we were like, I remember, I think it was you, Spider-Man. We were going through the visual novel last night, and then that moment happens where they hear the thunk and then they all freak out. And I really love Shannon like immediately ditching to go get a spider web on a stick, which is just very funny to me. But she jets.
You thought she was gonna get a gun or something?
I thought, yeah, because I could have sworn there was like something
just really
else in
likes
the boiler
women with
room.
guns.
But like,
yeah, there was another body in the boiler room.
The most effective weapon, a spider web.
Spider web. Well, I think Genji would differ on that, because my boy had that motherfucking thing on him, and he fucking whips out that blade, that fucking it was described as like, oh yeah, it was a letter opening knife, but the way he flicked it out, it was like some Assassin's Creed shit. It was like, what the fuck is that? And then he's apparently really good with it, and I'm sorry, but it's hard for me to not draw a parallel between a kid who was in a knife fight, a piece of furniture who was in a knife fight with another piece of furniture, and they both pull knives out, and then they fucking go they go action butler on him, and it just made me think, because when I saw the way that with Beatrice's like furniture, or the goat man, I immediately was like, is that fucking, that kind of looks like Genji. But anyway, And then immediately pulls out the knife. So I'm gonna get to the point. The fucking moment where it was like, wait, didn't Beatrice give us red text that like Canon's dead? Like, there's no way. Like, yeah. What was the specific red text
Canon
that she
was
said?
killed.
Yeah,
Canon was killed.
Cannon was killed in this room.
And so that moment happens where he's like, oh, I'm dying, guys, I need your help. And it's like, I said, wait a minute, didn't we get red text that he's dead in that fucking room? And Spider Halfman, you were like, oh fuck. And then all of the craziness happens, and then he's starts fingering his fucking like knife wound and shit. And yeah, anyway.
You said this is somebody's fetish. I said 2 in the chest, 3 in the rest. We all had a good time.
It was a great time was had by all. You should definitely join the Discord streams if you haven't.
Maybe you can say something else.
Let's brainstorm.
I just went ahead and I posted just a verbatim clip of the famous text.
Yes. I shall.
For the people in Twitch, it says plunging, slimy, squishy, wet. The finger went in deep to the base. Squish, gloop, bloop.
There you go.
And then
This is the same section where we got Beatrice saying, "So you've finally taken it out."
I'm having too much fun with my setup. Anyway.
But yeah, just to dial it back a bit, you were talking about just throwing ideas at a dartboard, right? So is that your strategy for right now?
I think when when one plays chess, they must not think of one major strategy. They must think of several.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. If you want to win, if Battler wants to win, he can't think of this as from like the standpoint of like using one sort of argument to then defeat Beatrice. I think I'm with Battler in that we've got to kind of think of this from multiple like sort of angles. We've got to think of this from like, is there okay, let's presuppose that that the way that I sort of approach these like mysteries in this story in particular is like, okay, what would it be like if Rosa was, the mastermind, the person behind it all, to speak in Danganronpa terms? What would it be like if that were the case? How would things make sense logically? Okay, how would it make sense if it was Ava? How would that make sense? And then just kind of approach it from like that sort of avenue, but then also incorporate other characters into that. One of the great things about stories like Umineko, and mysteries like Umineko, is that finding motive is one of the best ways to figure out who done it. And I love when stories have where everybody basically has a motive. And this story where everybody can benefit from like everybody else dying, it's very fun. And
the why done it.
What?
The why done it.
The why done it, yeah. The what done
They
it.
all need a lot of money right now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's I also anyway, but yeah. So that's one of the reasons why other stories frustrated me just a little bit, because when you incorporate a magic system into that, it kind of like disrupts things, because a magic system can be whatever the person creating the magic wants it to be or needs it to be. It's a really easy way of like, and that's one of the reasons why I really appreciate the way that Beatrice is being like sort of deployed and how she's being used to like rein in the magic system. So like, it's almost like she's like, even though she's a witch, she's being used to like disprove a lot of the sort of larger magical ways that things could be happening. Like, imagine the story where Beatrice can phase through walls, then anything goes basically. And if she can like walk through a wall. God.
What do you think magic even is?
I guess that would be, for me, what magic is like when the writer is backed into a corner and needs something to happen. But with specifically with Umineko, it's basically what is music? That's what is Mayak? GX very, very, very interesting question. What is Mayak? Magic is Earl Grey tea. Go on.
I actually do have a definition of magic, which is the construction or destruction of energy, the creation or destruction of energy. That is the definition of magic to me.
For me, it's almost anything that can't be sort of explained by like the sort of like mechanisms of the real world. Which is funny because this is a story, so innately, and like I've said before, it is a contradiction. Like Battler is a contradiction. Like what's happening right now is a contradiction. That's one of the reasons why I like him so much. But also, I can also see how maybe the way that we're going about this is like all an extrapolation from the very first loop, which was what actually happened, or maybe another loop that happened, and he's just been thinking about this as an adult for like way too long, trying to figure out what the hell happened. And so he's like an old man on Rokkenjima, just like trying to figure it out. Just like, what if it
like
went this way?
another visual novel you might have played, created by one of our friends here.
It's possible. It's very possible.
So, to go off of what you're saying about magic, about like a person being backed into a corner, who or what is Beatrice then? I know you brought her up as like an externalization of cruelty, but what do you think she like is in this plot, if there's like an empirical truth?
I mean, I really like what Tal said on the previous book club about Beatrice being like basically the almost a representation of the audience, of the people who sort of
elaborate on that would be great.
Yeah, like the malevolent audience was the idea I had kind of measured against Burncastle being the friendly audience, the one that cheers on Battler and wants to see the family safe and happy to the extent, and versus Beatrice, who wants to see Shannon or Jessica and Cannon writhing around in pain and dying horribly and tragically.
And I mean,
how do you think that squares against one of your other ideas of her being like an author? Because you got audience and author ideas going out here right now.
And again, I don't want to like sort of. I think it's fun to like think of ideas and how they could work. I don't necessarily like being like, oh, this means this, so then this theory doesn't matter at all. I need more information. And that's one of those things where as we play, we'll gain more information and I'll be able to drop theories as they come or like strengthen other theories. But right now, like, we're in kind of a Schrodinger's Beatrice situation where she can like simultaneously represent author and audience. I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think that those. I think that they're in stories like this, and generally speaking, in media analysis, there's this tendency to like think that certain theories are mutually exclusive, when really, based on information, I can totally see. Like, I'm not precious about like her being an author. I do like that idea, and I do think that there's a lot of evidence for that. But also, can't an author be like doesn't an author automatically like think of their audience? Don't they internalize like that sort of how their audience reacts to things?
I like what was said before about it being a D&D game with the audience and author playing tennis back and forth and having the roles of enjoying the story and presenting the story.
Yeah. And Chaos Coded Hero, yeah, there's a lot of meta text in this novel. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to be like one theory, like this sort of analysis is like out the window. I think that there are a lot of avenues of inspection, of like analysis for this, especially right now. Like we haven't even really talked about it because there's no like real meat on the bone, but it's being set up. Like there are little bits and pieces that are being dropped about not just the nature of like the fact that this is like the sort of unreliable narrator, but it's almost like unreliable presentation. Like there's a lot of stuff in here where it's like, oh yeah, we're getting this person's like sort of perspective, we're getting their interiority, and then suddenly we switch and like God mode and we flip over to another person and get their interiority, and it's like, how are we getting these multiple people's like perspectives in this moment? And then we do the thing with Kumasawa where she's like turning into the Greek chorus and like looking directly at us, the viewers, being like, oh, but I could not do that, like whatever the fuck she said in that one scene. There was another moment that happened recently where something very similar to that like happened. I forget exactly what it was, but there are multiple points in the story where even like Beatrice is doing things like that, and like there are moments where it's like, is Beatrice the Beatrice in the story, or is she like the sort of witch, the 1,000-year-old witch, you know? Is because you can't tell me that her switching, like, I know it's a goof, I know that it's funny, her wearing a different costume is like, oh, me being like, oh, that's a different person, dude. I think that's hinting at something. I think that's hinting at there potentially being two different, and the two different portraits. What the hell is that? What is that?
If you don't mind me just chiming in here, I think I want to frame like the back and forth of you like suggesting theories as not like to use the chessboard analogy here. What you're effectively saying is like you make a move, right? And you have no clue. There's a lot of information about what your opponent is going to do. But you still have to respond to their moves in a way. So it's perfectly fine to push out theories. It's like a question is like, oh, how do you respond to new info versus, you know, just sitting back and waiting and seeing, kind of? It's like you kind of have to
I understand
down
that.
avenues. Yeah,
and I think one of the things, and I talked a little bit about this on the last stream, and I apologize if I wasn't like clear or maybe a little bit too aggro. Sorry to Jan for like being a little bit like, I watched a little bit of that, and I feel like I was a little bit too aggressive, or like too like, I don't know what the word is, but I think I was explaining myself wrong. But this analogy is really useful because it lets me kind of elucidate how I think of this. A lot of people would play this and think, oh, you know, we're playing chess. This is your theory. You're putting forward your theory. This is your next move. You wait for the other person to respond and all that stuff. The way that I think of this is we are not playing a single game of chess. We are playing multiple games of chess where multiple different strategies on multiple different chessboards are being attempted. And so I don't really care about like playing a single game and winning and losing that. I care about the winning, which one of these I think is going to be the winning game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's where I kind of want to. If you want to go first, Jan.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to know was like, okay, what possible moves do you think you have right now, as opposed to like, okay, wait 5 more turns and then make a move.
Yeah, and I also I think I want to just change what I think pieces are in this case, because to me, Bob, you think like a chess game, like the pieces are like one theory.
No.
Fighting. No.
The board would be the pieces would represent sort of like it responding to information. It wouldn't necessarily be positing different theories individually. It would be that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like there's a logical consistency to the theories that I put forward, and they're a lot of times in response to the overall strategy of the board that we're playing on. But that's an individual chessboard. If we're talking about T theory, that's a different chessboard than magic is real. Just to throw out another idea. Or, the way that I think of it is not that the knight is representing like Ava is Beatrice. There is a whole ass board for responding to information, of figuring out the logical, like sort of the internal logic of how that would fucking work in the first place with that.
And you're updating that as it goes on.
Exactly.
And each one individually.
And in addition to that, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of people make a mistake about when they think about like stories like this, you should, if there are two theories you have, it should never be just two chessboards. Siri, stop it. Stop. It's so sensitive now because you can just say the word and it anyway, it should never be, okay, I have a theory about the tea being poisoned or the food being poisoned, and I have a theory about Ava being Beatrice. Those two shouldn't, they should exist as individual chessboards, but there should also be a chessboard for both of them being true and none of them being true.
Right.
So that
doing your like X or and different logical options here.
Yeah, so
inclusive, exclusive.
That's why I might get frustrated when people try to press me on like an individual like sort of like theory. Oh, like really focus on this chessboard and like let's try to like lock this one down. It's like, no, I don't really want to. That's because that's not how I have fun with these stories, and it's also kind of forcing me to like play potentially a losing game, in which case let's be real, that's kind of frustrating when you come up with a theory and you go through all the logical consistencies and like figuring out, oh yeah, I think this is it, and then Ryukishi's like, fuck your board, and flips it and pieces go everywhere.
I want to specifically go against that because I've found fun in like you want to be detached from the different theories and be able to deploy them, but I'm kind of letting the heart want what the heart wants, and if there's a specific theory that I fall in love with, even if it winds up being totally false, I want to have my emotional connection to that be played with in a mean way.
Yeah, hey, can everyone else mute except Rusty? All right, it looks like everyone else is muted. Or deafen. Make it show so just me and Rusty are talking. We can only hear each other. Okay. Rusty, I agree with you. I'm really fond of some of my theories, but I don't want to be wrong.
You were sad that your theory.
I was kidding, guys. You don't actually have to. Oh my god, they actually did it. I was fucking around. No, come back.
Here, I 100% knew it was a joke.
Come back. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'm not nice enough to do that.
I saw iCats.
Yes, and
to be clear, Rusty, I have favorite theories. I kind of jive quite a bit with the food theory. Like, I think there's a lot of evidence for it, and I think that it has a lot of potential for mixing with other theories. I also am starting to become fond of my Ava is Beatrice theory. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Just wanted to double check. You're talking about Ava because you've also talked about Rosa. And
well, that's
also
the thing.
Other instances.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, because I noticed that sometimes you go and like push either ones at different times in different contexts, and it's very interesting. And I want to know like where those kind of exist in relation to each other sometimes.
Well, Rusty, do you want to continue with what you were saying?
You were saying about how you got heartbroken in Higurashi when one of your theories got poked a hole in it, but I think that you are the performer and the Twitch person. So if you wind up getting invested in a theory, that would be pretty good content.
All right.
So that's me pushing you to
All
have
right.
favorites.
Okay. It's just,
I feel like it may also be instructive in the context of a previous visual novel that I will try to be unspecific about so as not to spoil it.
Danganronpa.
But it is true that sometimes there isn't one truth about how things go, in that sometimes there are multiple culprits and sometimes there are multiple timelines where the culprit is one character and the culprit is a different character, and they're operating under the same context, but there are different culprits in different timelines. So it whether one is the culprit or not in a particular timeline may not be the right way to think about it.
There
Or
was that.
Well,
Sorry, continue.
I think that's one of the really fun things about this story in particular, is that we are operating under a false idea that one of the cool things about this is that these are different situations. Like, I'm thinking definitely chapter 1 and chapter 2, but potentially chapter 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, all the potentially all the answer arcs are different situations which present different opportunities for different characters to become the mastermind, or whatever we want to call them, like Beatrice or however that works. I think that one of the interesting aspects of this is that the situation that happened in chapter 1 could be fundamentally different than the situation in chapter 2. Less so in terms of like who actually executes like their plan, but more in terms of, less so in terms of who dies and who lives, and more so in terms of who is the person who's actually like surviving and benefiting from the situation. Or potentially everything everything burning because everybody's constantly at each other's throats because they're drinking fucking poison tea that makes them all fucking crazy and shit. Anyway.
Sorry, Yon was first, actually.
Yeah, sorry. It is interesting with this context of, we've previously read a VN where there was instances where I guess more or less the playing field was the same each time, with the same people involved, but there was like a random variable almost in terms of, oh, well, this person is affected this time, so that changes how they do things. And I guess it's interesting to keep in mind, but there was also this other thing you talked about just yesterday with regards to weaving between multiple episodes here, was, I think you said there was the possibility that Beatrice, the human 19th person here involved, was previously in episode 1, but not seen. And it was that Rosa dressed her corpse, or like Rosa's corpse was actually Beatrice's corpse done up as Rosa, and that Rosa was somewhere else.
Yeah.
So like that I think that is interesting in terms of Beatrice is so-and-so, separate from the culprit is someone other than Beatrice, but Beatrice is there.
Yeah, that was born out of when Beatrice, like, that was always in the back of my head, but when Beatrice specifically says like, oh, you thought, talking to Battler, but really talking to me specifically, no one else, about how, oh, you thought that the corpses were mangled, their faces were mangled in the first like sort of loop because I was like trying to hide their identity. So I've done their corpses in such a way, I've killed them in such a way where you can't deny the people are who they are. And that made me think like, wait a minute, if that's how you're approaching this, then I was trying to figure out like the sort of discrepancies between chapter 1 and chapter 2, and that led me down the thinking of like, well, there is one person who is confirmed to have a physical presence in chapter 2 that we didn't see in chapter 1. So the 19th person would be real, but the idea that it's Beatrice versus the Beatrice that we see here, ma'am, versus the Beatrice that we see in the school clothes or whatever in chapter 2, I think that thinking of them as the same person is potentially misguided or a false equivalency. I think because that would make sense. This is one of those chess things that we were talking about where it's like, this is the board that I'm thinking of where actually the faces being mangled in the first loop makes sense. And the faces that, and everything that we saw in the second loop, like that would actually, because who's missing right now? That would be Beatrice, her sort of physical like form. And again, who was in these hallowed halls the night before the murders? Wait, that's not. Yeah, what? Anyway, it's not Christianity. Peace be unto you. But anyway, it was fucking Rosa. Like Rosa was there. We saw her confirm. She said, "Beatrice, you are. I recognize you as the witch, along with all the other people." And now that's Twergo. I think we call it Bobism.
Well, you do say that Rosa was there, but is that one of the scenes that we're meant to be taking literally, or might that be a metaphorical theme?
Let's ask Beatrice for some red text. That is an interesting question because they just came off of dinner. So if I was thinking about the sort of like food poisoning or like, drugging aspect, I would think that they're still under the effects of that. But in terms of like logically thinking about it, thinking it through and thinking about the sort of the chessboard metaphor again, that theory would make a lot of other theories make sense. Siri, stop it. Stop it. Thank you. I'm going to have to change it to Beatrice. Actually, that would be worse.
Yeah.
They make it way worse.
Yeah. Actually, just sorry to cut in again, but like hearing you and Tal and maybe Ultimate Trainer brought this up as well, but like, well, Tal in particular seems to, not Tal, Spider-Man seemed very particular about it, that the supernatural scenes were not happening. Where do you fall on that, Bob? And all the new readers.
I agree with Spider-Man to an extent. But yeah, I'd like to hear Spider-Man talk about that.
I do have to get going, but I'm definitely happy I saved for this. My feeling is that what we're seeing, what we the audience are reading, is what Beatrice is showing Battler. Beatrice is showing Battler because Battler's responding to but then again, I don't know, because Battler's responding to the murder mystery closed room stuff, but when it comes to ghosts pulling out lightsabers, Beatrice isn't like, "Are you going to explain this, idiot?" And Battler's like, I don't know, pyrotechnics or some shit. So I feel like, when the typhoon comes in the second arc, they really, really emphasize that, hey, you can't trust your eyes. This place is about to become disconnected from reality. The things there isn't logic here. The things you see aren't real. And I guess the irony is by making it so that it's true we can't trust our eyes, the only thing that we really can put absolute faith in is the red text. In that sense, Beatrice has made Battler completely dependent on her and us, the audience.
Yeah.
But so I don't know why Battler isn't saying, "Okay, say it in red text." The goat pulled out a lightsaber. But I also don't know why Beatrice isn't saying, "Explain this, Battler, Ushirimo Battler." So I don't know. I do think And I do wonder, like, do these scenes matter? And remember playing this 15 years ago and feeling like, oh well, none of this shit's happening. This doesn't really matter. But now with more maturity, more media literacy, I can read these as like extensions for conflicts that the characters who are real are experiencing. I can understand canon's like the idea that just like the servant class, is able to do this inhuman thing, this extension of their bodies. I understand that's thematically rich. I get it, quote unquote. But I do not, as to what is and isn't happening, I do not think we can really take anything for granted.
Yeah.
This is really funny because I had a bit of an observation when I first read this chapter that kind of kicked in around here to kind of help me ground myself in regards to like what I think is and isn't real. And I remember at the time the conclusion I came down to, okay, did Battler see it? Like,
Yeah.
and if Battler saw it, I'm gonna assume it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the equivalent of like walking past a room, hearing some noise, opening the door, and being told, "Oh, a tornado came through here," and you have to go, "But tornadoes are outside. How? How can I explain this?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bye, Kate.
Bye, Kate.
Thank you for joining.
I was gonna say that this sort of comes back to the thing I was talking about earlier with like when you're reading a normal mystery story that doesn't have a tool like the red text. Like I think these are some of the ways that like we can look for truth in those, is to be like, okay, I believe this character's point of view, so I can like work from that. And if something's not in this point of view, I can then do that. And I think like, I do actually think it's interesting that like some of those tools are still here and being used in a story that has something like the red text.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, if this story didn't have something like the red text, and I was reading, and this was a classical novel I was reading, and I got to I got to the part in the second arc with Jessica's room, I think, and
the
when
anime
not
battle.
only do they pull out like the anime battle, we're also just like the servant, we're just also like the embodiments of the seven sins are anime girls. I think without the grounding
in bikinis,
without the deep character grounding of the first arc, and without the idea of the very soon thereafter revealed idea of the red text, I think I'd be like, okay, this book's they've lost the plot. I'm out.
Gone off the rails. Yeah.
I like to see like hot anime girls kill me.
Spider-Man, I forget. Have you played
steamroll over that comment?
Have you played any other Ryukishio 7 games?
Okay, so my experience is that like 15 years ago, I had a friend, and I recommended him some shows, and he recommended me some shows. Like, you should watch Higurashi. I'm like, okay, I watched Higurashi, the Higurashi anime. I'm like, well, that was pretty okay. And he's just like, okay, well, read the visual novel, or read this new visual novel of Umineko called Umineko. I'm like, okay. And basically, my entire understanding of Umineko was informed by the Higurashi anime.
I am so sorry.
So years and years and years later, after seeing you go through it, and while not reading the novel myself, being able to reevaluate it, especially after learning about the censorship that was done to it regarding, things like historical context and the actual conditions of childcare that Ryukyushi saw firsthand, when you started Umineko, I decided to reapproach it with a more, with a more open mind, with a more inquisitive, intuitive looking at somebody, because when I read Umineko all those years ago, I thought I was just like, this is by the guy who did that anime. And now when I'm reading it, now I'm like, oh, this is a guy who is like a social worker and has seen some shit and has made some really good art commenting on that shit and has a very good understanding of history and a very good understanding of how to weave history into a narrative. So that's sort of been the real difference the first time and this time around. And yet, when Canon pulled out his lightsaber, there was a part of me that went, really? We're doing this? Because I had forgotten that.
I guess it is important to note that this is also the time of Fate's Day Night, Nasu-verse, of course. Speaking of which, Ryukishi and Nasu, born in the same month, in the same year. Also, same goes for Uchikoshi. No, fucking all of them were born in November of the same year. It's insane. Uchikoshi of Zero Escape, of Somnium Files, and many others before then.
Man, I gotta play more visual
the
novels.
Never series, or I guess I don't know if it has like.
I actually think I just
more official title.
I think I just bought Fate's Day Night recently, just because it was on my. Oh yeah, and AI Somnium Files.
I mean,
yeah, and I believe even Ciel from I think that's Tsukihime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was of course in Higurashi as Chie Sensei. So it's not just that he was a guy who was a social worker; he was an otaku.
Mm-hmm.
He has two wolves.
You can see them at multiple points.
Sure can.
In Higurashi and Umineko.
Uh-huh.
I must say more so in Higurashi that I'm detecting, but we just got to some shit here where it's like, okay, that song that Jessica was singing, huh?
Toho.
It's from Toho.
It's got Higurashi references in it too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's so weird. It really is two wolves. It's crazy.
Speaking of the otaku element, we can see his evolution from here's a bunch of girls to here's some fucking women, and they have guns. That's right. I'm getting Kate. I'm doing Kate some justice here. My God, these moms with guns.
I love it. Honestly,
why are more stories not doing this? Jesus fucking Christ!
It's a mom and she's got a gun. Blam blam.
And so I pivoting from the hot moms with guns, I think it's very interesting, diving in rather, is that both Rosa and Natsuhi were kind of in diminutive roles before the shift of everyone fucking died. And then once that changes, they got a fucking gun and now they're calling the shots. And it is very interesting that in the first one it was Natsuhi, and then there was that friction with Ava. God, I hope there's friction with Ava. And then in the second, we've just got Rosa. So like I feel like that says something. But what does it say? It's up to you guys.
Well, my thoughts. If somebody else wants to go, I'm monopolizing the conversation. I have it going anyway. If anyone else wants to weigh in, please do.
I was thinking that the person the adult in the Orochi the family like carries the gun, but I never put together that it's mostly the women right now. For the 2 episodes.
Both Natsuhi and Rosa said like, I am going to be your like the mom. Like they both have lines in each chapter where they're like, I'm going to like take up the mantle of the Ushiromiya like mom or something along those lines. The head.
Yeah.
But yeah, they both have lines specifically pertaining to that. I think it is interesting that thing about Ava. I'm trying to like sort of parse it. It's sometimes, streaming is tough because it's like I've got so many things going on that it's kind of hard to let the cogs really like kind of turn and really kind of digest information. But like thinking about it out loud, I wonder if that fits into my theory that potentially, because okay, so I feel like I didn't actually like go into it, the idea that potentially, I think Jan covered it from our stream yesterday, but I think that potentially, and I want to put this out there to the new folks, not the robot face people. They're not allowed to talk.
Yeah, you can't make me.
I can server mute you, bud.
Robot based? What am I? What? Hold on.
There was a thing when we were playing Higurashi, people who knew shit, who had played the game and knew what was coming, would do what Jan just did and post the little robot smiley like emoji, and just piss me off because like it's like, oh, I know what's going on. Ooh.
Either they knew something was coming, or you said something very insightful that they wanted to smile at.
Yeah, or they wanted to do the iCat thing and lead me into a bunch of fucking false fucking theories and shit. Which is another aspect of this, which I must say, like, yeah,
all kinds of witches.
We're being Umineko folks. We're being assaulted from all sides. We got to band together. We'll have like our groups. And we'll talk amongst ourselves because
which one of us gets the gun?
Whoever survives.
It's a good thing for you all that we're all labeled witch, so you know which one of us is the wolf and which is the sheep.
It's true. It's true.
I will say that I think on the last book club I was on, I made a very offhanded comment about, hey, do you want there to be anime battles? And I had like 5 pings of people being like, I can't.
We all were like, I can't, you can't.
I feel like that's one of the reasons why I want to go into Jan's like server at the end of this and just like pour through all of the reactions to like everything that we've been saying.
3 years of this.
I'll let you know it's mostly positive in your favor for this one, at least.
All right, that's good. Oh, so that means that it was mostly negative with Higurashi. Good to know. Thanks,
for that one.
Bud. Thanks.
So I can't say. I just wasn't there for that. So.
All right, but yeah. So the theory that the working theory that I have right now that I'm like the chessboard is like actively like being played. There was a moment when Rosa went up the stairs and Beatrice manifested behind her, and this Rosa that went upstairs was notably different than the Rosa that came downstairs in terms of her attitude, so much so that it was called out in the text. Like I think it was like, I forget who it was. It might have been Battler who just like said, wow, she's a completely different person than the person that just went upstairs. And we're supposed to infer that that's probably because she had the conversation with Kinzo. Because remember, in the first chapter, Natsuhi has the conversation with Kinzo, and she gains a ton of confidence, right? And I feel like that's an interesting thing to point out, and that can go a couple different ways. But right now, for the sake of being a streamer on twitch.com, twitch.tv.com, that's the URL, right?
Sure, why not? I can't remember it.
I think that that's a false conclusion that we're being led to, because it's very possible that, I'm just going to throw it out there, Rosa and Ava's builds are pretty similar. And I think that there's a possibility that Ava maybe has been made to look like Rosa, because that would jive a couple other theories that I had from chapter 1. And if we're thinking about this in terms of like a real chess game, a real like battle between Battler Boy and Beatrice, then that would mean that we are fighting a singular opponent who is making moves on a chessboard. In this situation, the sort of Rokenjima. And in that case, it might be multiple people working together. It might be a bunch of different situations happening where each route has different people fighting for power. But if we're just because this is Twitch, and just because I'm going to go ahead and it's more fun to like lock down on a theory, like what Rusty was saying earlier. I think I'm going to double down on Ava, because the way that this is being set up, it's being set up that Beatrice is like the person to beat, and that she has a logic, she has a series of moves that she can play. If it's multiple people at multiple, like, this is another thing about the chessboard analogy that I said before that might not make sense, because someone posted a GIF where it was one person going down a line of chessboards fighting multiple different opponents. I don't mean it like that. I mean it as though in this situation, every single chessboard has Beatrice at the other end, and I am going through each one trying to figure out exactly how like that's being done. That's the way that I'm thinking about it, in terms of if that's leading me, a bunch of this information is leading me to think that potentially Ava has dressed up like Rosa and is now doing all this shit, like, you know, extremely aggro shit, like pointing a gun at Battler for no fucking reason and just being like, I could fucking kill you, but I won't. It's like, who fucking does that? That's not a Rosa thing, dog. Rosa beats her child. She doesn't, like...
She sure does.
She does it a lot. And it's fucking wearing me out, man.
You know,
I'm so over Rosa beating her child. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Jan. I'll post it again. Jan. Again, this is Jan's. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, Bob, I was going to ask then, sort of in relation to this, and the sort of idea of like multiple people being the culprit each time. This is, you know, obviously for everyone, the new readers as well, who, you know, might be sharing this idea, is just like, how do you square that away with Beatrice in the meta layer, right? Like, if it is multiple people, what would that mean for the Beatrice in the meta layer? Is that like, you know, just representational? Is it a completely new person? How does that sort of work in your mind?
To go with my theory, to just like lock it down, since apparently that's what y'all want. You witch weirdos. Since y'all want me to like fucking put my feet in the sand, I seriously stand by my original idea that I had in the first chapter, at the end of the first episode. Not chapter, at the end of the first episode, where I seriously think that this is Battler sort of in his head going through the events of what happened and having a mental battle with Beatrice. The sort of idea of Beatrice in his mind. I forget what it's called. There's a psychological concept where you basically come up with sort of manifestations of people in your mind when you imagine talking to them or interfacing with them, and so so you're basically conjuring an idea of this person in your head and imagining how they would react, and then you're basically, I think that that's kind of what's happening here. I think that we're in the interior space of Battler's mind as he's sort of processing the events of what happened on Rokkenjima, potentially years upon years ago. And I think that there's also a possibility that Kinzo has parallels with Battler in ways that might be more profound as we go along. I also think that the game is going to do something with the idea of a ghost, because that's another thing that we saw in this episode is the ghosts of Cannon, the chair. He feels like a chair to me. He like maybe an ottoman. No, ottoman's too fancy.
Is Battler a footstool?
No, he's a doorstop, I think. But like, okay. So and I keep is it no, Jessica. I keep flipping. Jessica and Shannon.
Shannon and Shannon rhyme with each other.
That's why every time I say one, I'm like, does that rhyme with canon? And it's like, Shannon does, so it can't be her. It's the other one. What was her name again? Jessica. So yeah, Jessica is like, we saw their ghosts and they manifested in the exact same effect. And I don't know if that's done on purpose, but the thing that I'm trying to say is I think that there's going to be, this is why I said the thing about magic in the first at the end of the first episode, and how Battler shouldn't completely discount the idea of like sort of magic, is because what we think of as ghosts, like they're not real, right? But they exist because
in quotations
of how we sort of perceive them. Like Bigfoot, I really hate to say this, Bigfoot isn't real. Bigfoot's not a thing.
Oh man, wow. Ooh.
How dare you?
Don't know if you can come back from this one. Canceled.
But Bigfoot has tons of shows. People like it is a thing. You think of Bigfoot and it is a thing in your mind. What I'm saying is Beatrice is Bigfoot. Or she, I think Bigfoot and Beatrice would get along very well. Because Beatrice would kiss. Would Beatrice kiss Bigfoot's feet, or would Bigfoot kiss whatever? Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that I think that this game is going to go for an emotional gut punch at the end, where we are going to, or maybe not even the end, maybe like right before it. I think that one of the things that we're going to realize is that the ghosts that are being manifested, all of these ideas of people, like they were real people. And I love the idea that, like at the beginning, in episode 1, we all toward the end of it, where they all go into Kinzo's study and they reckon with the fact that Kinzo was in love with a woman who he like really truly deeply loved, and who he potentially had an affair with. Or would that even be an affair? Because it was like an arranged marriage. I forget. I don't know the exact specifics on that. But
I mean,
the arranged marriage was
wife,
to the
so.
the arranged marriage was to the siblings' parents, so it would be cheating if it weren't with her.
So, yeah, a love affair outside of his arranged marriage, with a woman he truly like loved. And that sort of person took up such a monumental space in his like sort of mental in his like mind, that she like sort of during his later days, after he's been completely fucked up with the fucking absinthe,
green stuff,
the green stuff, after he's chugged absinthe for like 2 decades, or however long, I have no idea. But like, yeah, and so now he's like really getting into witchcraft and like all this stuff, and it might even be that he thinks she was a witch because she cast a spell on him. I don't know. There are a lot of ways that this could go, but the point I'm trying to make is that ghosts and the way that we sort of perceive people and their lingering effects, a lot of people are like, oh, ghosts aren't real. But when you think about it, ghosts are the remnants of the people that used to be alive, the way that we thought of them. And so in that way, they really do exist. They very much exist. And they can affect reality. Not because they're like wisps walking through the walls and stuff, but because they are how we perceive them, how they manifest in our sort of psyches, and how we think of them, how we react to how we think of them.
You're saying like there's a difference between like there is a literal sentient disembodied soul that is doing stuff versus there is a conceptual understanding of the remnants of a person that lingers after death.
Yes.
I mean, and I think that's practically text with what happened with Jessica and Cannon.
Yeah, because
after they died.
Exactly.
Because Beatrice taunts them to say the voices of the dead will never reach the living, and Battler, Mansion Battler, the one that's not on the astral plane or whatever, hanging out with Beatrice, but the one that's living his increasingly terrible life in the mansion, is the one that says, no, I feel the remnants of Jessica and Cannon, and I won't let you profane them where Jessica died.
Yeah.
I won't let you.
You could say that his conceptualization of the sadness of Cannon and Jessica provoked Battler into confronting Rosa in the way that he did. Rosa exists.
Rosa.
Anyway, exists. See, and
You
that's
say
the other
that-
thing, like about the exists, like the quote or the apostrophes around exists. That's what, whenever they say that, that's what I think in my head. It's like the existence. Anyway, sorry, Rusty, were you saying?
You were saying that ghosts exist and that they serve a function in our psychology and our culture. And you were saying that magic and witches probably exist in that same way. What do you think, if ghosts are there to, like, help us process grief and, like, have some sort of communication with, like, the will of people who have died, what do you think that the magic that we have seen so far, what function do you think that plays?
Give me an example of the magic.
The cannon energy sword duel as the most obvious one.
Can you express that in red text for me?
So,
I'm fucking around. So in terms of that, did you want to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the most English teacher way that I can word it is, why are we being shown this scene? Why is this not just something that happened off screen and we have no myth or anything of what could have happened in there?
I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, but anime is a thing that people like a lot, and it's really unfortunate, but Naruto is very popular, and so
Take that back.
I'm fucking around. No, like in terms of an like entertainment, I can see why it's there. In terms of like the magic system and how, like, I see where you're going with that. I think that in that instance, I think that there are also aspects of this story that are being used to sort of like highlight that this is ridiculous. Like, this is, what is this? Like, this isn't, in that moment, I feel like it's hard to say Ryakishi. It's hard to not say that Ryakishi was trying to say something specific there, but within the context of like this idea that I'm forming in my head that you have forced me to lock in on, the idea that I think they're going with there is that maybe there was evidence of something that happened in that room, that there was that Battler maybe at a certain point, like or the police found evidence of a struggle in that room or something along those lines, some evidence that led them to like to say that like something very weird happened here, something untoward, something magical. And so that makes me think that in people like Battler's mind, they would like go to the extreme with that, would go to the sort of like, well, let's just follow the magical theory through and let's just heighten it to a ridiculous extent. And I think in that moment, I don't want to, okay, how do I say this without, according to other visual novels that I have played, there was a tendency to hide real events with a mask of ridiculousness, to hide very real clues under a veneer of like anime ridiculousness. You know what I mean? And I think that from a writer's standpoint, I think that might be what Ryakishi is deploying there. That's one of the really interesting aspects of this, is because this is one of those situations where it's really hard for me to dig my feet down and my really lock in on, because I just need more information. Like, we're only in episode toward the end of episode 2. And like, I've got a bunch of ideas that are probably going to be shot down real soon. With the way that Ryakishi is writing this, he's probably like, oh, you probably fucking thought that Ava put on a wig, you idiot, you dumbass. And I say unto my flock, you fucking dolts, you probably thought that Rosa was actually Ava or some dumb shit. Morons. Peace be with you. Anyway.
Is it okay?
It's useless. It's all useless.
You've fallen for the classic Rose Avatris theory.
What was it? It was dame.
Zen Zen Dameda.
Dameda. Zen Zen Dameda.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also does it as a variant.
Dame
Just
dame
to,
da se dame da. Fuck, whatever.
just to go back to the chessboard analogy here. I think me as a witch is kind of more I say witch. Is more interested in like not like the like from your view what the who your opponent is from the match and the rules of the chess match, if you will, because we know chess has definite rules.
Yeah, we mentioned that a little bit on the last episode about how does a piece, a witch exists because this chess piece is moving in a way that this chess piece shouldn't. But that could also be explained by that chess piece really just being another chess piece. And, it being sort of masked in that way or hidden in that way is a fun little goof. A fun little way to betray your expectations. Oh, Spider-Man, catch you later. Thanks for joining.
Night.
But in terms of like the way that we're talking about it now, yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where we need more info. We just need more info. I'm locking down on a couple theories just because I guess it's funny, but I'm not confident. Y'all, even with this Rosa thing, as much as I like it, and with this Earl Grey tea thing, it's like I'm not even past 50% on those. I really don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, I'm not particularly asking you to like lock down a theory because I think you like machine gunning theories is way more fun.
I was also going to say that I think it's much more interesting just at least not necessarily either or, but just that you don't stop thinking, that you at every opportunity you are always going over what you think might have happened, and if the facts no longer line up or you think anything is there, then you reformulate a thing or you think of a completely new thing, rather than just being like, well, I guess I'll just wait. I think it's important to wait for you to find out more information to confirm or deny or anything like that. But as long as you're still questioning things and thinking up new things, I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's really what it's about here. I just had this thought of trying to figure out the rules of the game you're operating within is a very common thing is, hey, does this game have fall damage? And then you go and you jump off a fucking cliff and see if it kills you.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
See,
just
and
trying to figure out
that's the fun thing too, because in this game isn't giving me enough enough of a height to jump to my death. Right now I can barely even tell if because in other games you jump a certain distance and you don't start taking fall damage. So it's did I fall far enough? Have I taken did I take damage? I can't tell.
Yeah, it's a matter of trying to figure out where the invisible walls are, so to speak, within the artifice you're working with.
Yeah. And I think that definitely Beatrice is using the red deploying the red text is a very fascinating wrinkle to this that is making it much more interesting for me. And I think that you're I don't know, and I'm basing all of this information on what I've been told, but I think that is absolutely a reaction to Higurashi, in some of the things that were talked about with that, because I don't want to get too into it, but I think that I think that this is Ryakishi really sort of grappling with some of the, I want to say, reactions to Higurashi.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put this as a topic just because I think it's too broad for any of the the chapter specific segments, and I was maybe waiting until we got further. But one thing I actually had been wondering to bring up or put down as a topic had just been the idea that a lot of this seems to be very meta reflective on both Higurashi as well as just mysteries and the way they're written, and fans of mysteries and the way that we like read mysteries, that sort of thing. And I think I don't know that there's too much to say about that just yet, at least. But like I think that definitely the red text and all of that stuff seems to be very pointed. I guess.
Jan, what are you doing? Well, you're vague posting about it, and I have to know what is going on.
If Bob does good, you will do it.
I thought I saw your profile picture change. Did you?
Oh, I just saw the eyes move. Oh, it's scary. It's like a haunted painting.
Well, now
if Bob does once, you will do it. If Bob does bad, you will do it once. If Bob does good, you will do it twice.
I will.
That's the one.
If I do good,
I did it 4 times.
Okay. I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and then I saw you were posting about like I will do it another time, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It is happening again.
It is happening again.
It is happening again. Also, FYI, there is a bit alert specifically for our good girl, Burned Castell, that I maybe added an effect to, if anyone wants to give that a shot. But you can make her say anything you want. Oh yeah,
it's so cool that
anything.
I think I just saw that. Did I? Am I seeing things? Anyway.
It's so cool that we saw Burned Castell at the end of the last episode. Too bad that'll be it forever, probably.
Yeah, that's probably just like a cheeky little reference and then completely gone.
Anyway, one last thing I wanted to say was just actually circling back to one of the questions I didn't get around to in the red text topic that I wrote down was just I am just sort of interested in like predictions from the new readers as to like how you think Beatrice and Battler will attempt to use this new tool to their advantage in the game. Like, what sort of moves you think they'll deploy with this?
Beatrice and Battler.
Because, like, so far, Battler's been asking for the red text, and like as like a just like, okay, confirm this for me, and I'll like.
I think that one of the things that Beatrice is going to do. Okay, so one of Battler's weaknesses, and we saw it a little bit in this in this chapter, and I totally like it. Really, right here, bud. Like I really appreciate you, like, not wanting to like throw anyone under the bus, without 100% certainty that they like are a fucker. That said, that deploys or that demonstrates a faith in humanity that, especially in this instance, I don't think is necessarily warranted. I think that Battler's naivete when it comes to none of my family members could possibly be, a murderer is.
And he hasn't even been back in 6 years. He hasn't seen them for a significant part of his life, and he still wants to stand by them.
And he also has seen Rosa beat the shit out of Maria, and is just like, oh, she wouldn't. She pointed a gun directly at my face. Damn. Okay. Like, I guess I need to internalize that for a little bit.
To be fair to Battler, I mean, can you imagine like learning that your one of your family members had killed so many people? Like, conceptually, how really
so many people. So many people. Maybe even people that didn't die today. If I get closer, is it weird?
Yo, why my priest got a big head? Big head mode activated.
MODOK is my priest. Anyway, is it MODOK?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yes, iCat, I did understand that thinly disguised joke that you have done in the past, and I also saw right through just now, and it will take and run with like a live grenade to my death. You're absolutely correct. And one of the things that I think that Battler is going to be it's going to be a really rough ride for him. And one of the things that I think that the red text is going to do, and we have already seen the bits and pieces of it, Beatrice is like getting back into a corner when it comes to just purely like the logistics. Like we saw with the like this wonderful area that we're in right now. She was backed into a corner by Battler by being pressed on the like sort of logistics of the way that this chapel, I forgot the word for chapel. I was stalling for time that entire time to remember the word chapel. Anyway, the chapel and all of the ways that you can get into it, and then he used logic to basically say like, oh well, someone could have used the key or like hidden the key. Did Maria have the key on her the entire time? And she was like, anyway. So in that way, Battler was triumphant. But there is a very fucking obvious thing that could have happened with the murder in Shannon's room. Jessica's room. The murder in Jessica's room, which is the key that Rosa found exists, that she could have easily pretended to find it. But that escapes Battler because he just implicitly trusts the person who pointed a gun at his face and says, I can kill you right now if I wanted to. I could fucking destroy you. But, I won't, because I'm just cool like that. I think that Battler, this will also play into the fact that I really seriously think that Battler is going to use this information to figure out that someone may have done something to his mom. I think that is a shoe that will drop. Thinking about it now, I think another shoe that will drop is that none of these events are actually happening. That all of these are basically mental, like sort of exercises for Battler to figure out who could potentially have done that. So I'm just throwing this out there. Wouldn't it be fucking cool if the last chapter of this during the answer arcs is all of these events happening, but Battler immediately being like, nope, stop right there. That's fucking bullshit. I know exactly what you're fucking doing. And calling out the person who he knows is going to do horrible shit to his family and getting them and stopping them in their tracks and ending it. And also revealing that, basically this is all just a mental exercise for him to figure out, like, doing the thing that Kyrie told him to do, spinning the chessboard. And all of these events aren't actually happening. They're just plays in his mind of just how these events could go forward, what could happen using the information that he has currently, how he thinks people will react. And that's the thing that's happening. This next part has nothing to do with that. I was just throwing that out there because funny. But I think that the thing that Beatrice is going to do with the red text and how she's going to basically fuck with Battler is getting him out of his comfort zone when it comes to his family members being pieces of shit, and getting him to realize that, like, yes, the way that I think about my family and that they can't do anything wrong, or that, you shouldn't like fucking, accuse anyone without 100% certainty that they did anything wrong, is like sort of a flawed way of going about this, which may have something to do with, like, I remember ICAT, we were talking about this when it came to Phoenix Wright, like the legal system with Phoenix Wright, and how what were you saying about like the sort of way that law works in Japan, and how it's like flawed?
It's like basically guilty until proven innocent. Very high incarceration rate.
I think it's 99.8% prosecution rate, and they didn't introduce juries until relatively recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say that there might be some analysis of that in here. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
And there's also this element of, well, we know how Ryukishi feels about cops. They're our friends. There's also this other dimension
the thing.
Of they can just rearrest you.
Can I make a prediction?
You for something, they can just rearrest you.
Mm-hmm. Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
One of the things that I love that Beatrice did during this arc was basically say, hey, you know the bodies that got mangled? You had a problem with that, right? Because we could swap the bodies or we could hide the bodies. Okay, how about this? How about I just gut your family members from stem to sternum and fucking fill their guts full of like Halloween candy. And their faces are fine. You can see who they are. They're totally cool. But that way I got ahead of your stupid theory that I could hide bodies and stuff, even though maybe that was a misdirect. One of the things that I really hope, because I said this yesterday, one of the things I really hope happens is, hey, you know how the phone line was cut? You know how that like sort of like limits a lot of this stuff and like gets in the way? What if in the next episode, what if the lines aren't cut? What if the cops show up? What if more people from outside of the island get onto the island and really start like making things go nuts? I think that would be fucking sick. I think that would opening it up in the way that, because that would be very similar to another visual novel I played.
Oh no, Columbo's here and she's hot.
Oh yeah, the what was her name? Kyrie from Danganronpa.
Oh yeah, no,
Kirigiri.
Kirigiri. Yeah, I call them. Caleb was on my ass about that too. I call them by the wrong name. Anyway,
it's
whatever. I can't believe Battler's mom was in Danganronpa.
She came out of it all right.
Stepmom, rather.
Oh, spoilers for Danganronpa.
Also, I like your little comment earlier about like, Battler having a reconciled fact that his like family are pieces of shit and Beatrice pointing it at him, because I like the implication that at a certain point, Beatrice is going to come up and be like, your dad is an asshole in red. You're a moron in red.
Yeah, well, I think Battler would take it in stride.
Well, I may be a moron, but...
I'm not stupid. Wait.
I don't beat kids. Wait. Because he hit Maria, and I will never forgive him. When will Maria become the main character?
Battler,
does that happen later?
With Battler, that was more of a bonk. I don't.
I know. It's more.
Translation.
I interpret it as like more of a noogie, like kind of thing. Like like forceful enough to get her to like stop like hyper focusing, but like playful enough where it's not like menacing or like, you know, like another piece of fucking shit in this game. Man, I can't wait for Rosa to get shot in the head at the end of this episode. It won't happen. I'm gonna call it. Prediction time. She's not gonna get shot in the head in the way that Natsuhi got shot in the head in the first episode.
He does have Chekhov's gun.
Kinzo's gun. There was so much. We were going through the info the other night, and it was like I forgot how much info there was on that fucking gun. Like that's such a weird amount of. It's really strange. It's like a lot of information on that gun. Anyway. Also, I am. So everyone's just gonna die when Ava gets the gun, right? Like in the next chapter, Ava gets the gun and just fucking starts blasting. But I will say, there's one person. There's one. Oh, Kiri. Oh, that's what I fucked up. I meant Kirigiri instead of Kyrie. Yeah, okay, that's why you guys were making that joke. Kyrie's from this game. Kirigiri's from fucking Danganronpa. Okay, all right. I fucked up. I forgot her fucking name.
Hair color, who knows?
It's true. They're very similar. They're very similar. I like them both in the same way, where they're like very. I love how, like they're so analytical. But yeah, Kyrie getting the gun. Yeah, just give Kyrie the gun before she gets killed. This will be solved in no time. Like, we're good.
Trust Kyrie with the gun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Smash cut to when she's the fucking killer. Oh my god. She probably will be. Fuck. Anyway.
Maybe we can trust men with gun more than women.
No.
What do I even say to that? Something
And
so heinous.
The Bob has spoken.
Unacceptable.
Now, to rank all the women on the island as to how well they can handle a gun.
Kyrie.
Maria.
S tier.
Maria actually really competent with a gun. Who knew?
On the negative Z tier. She cannot even lift it.
Meanwhile, she's got like a handgun in her handbag. She's got that motherfucking thing on her. She keeps it on her.
Shannon, on the other hand, fucking locked and loaded, ready to go.
It's like, Maria, what are you doing with a gun? She's like, what do you mean a gun? This is my wand.
What if you got there? A gun? No!
Bam, bam, bam!
So do you think the concept of Beatrice would have varying degrees of proficiency based on who you think the culprit is?
The concept of Beatrice.
So for at one moment she's getting fucking like dead on center shots, and then it changes over and suddenly she can't fucking hit the board at all.
Yeah. There, and then she's like completely.
Say it in red. Also shoot that target.
She tries to shoot shit, but the butterflies keep getting in the fucking way. It's like, God damn it.
Okay, now do it while blindfolded and with a bucket of water on your head.
Alrighty. Do we have anything else that we want to talk about? Chat, feel free to ask your own questions. I feel like...
Yeah, we hit pretty much everything. I just wanted to ask one final thing of you, if no one else has anything that they wanted to get in.
Sorry,
we can go in priority, so Rusty, you go first.
I do have like a couple of Higurashi spoiler things for the end of the episode.
Okay, we'll stick around then for the end. So yeah, good note. We'll notify everybody of Higurashi spoilers later.
I also have like a couple of theories as to what the supernatural scenes can mean, like outside of just the most extreme version of not knowing what's going on behind closed doors. I think that there's also, it was brought up with accusing Canon of killing Jessica by Badler so that nobody would have to suspect each other. It might be that magic is something that you believe in to keep a better world so that you don't have to really face the fact that
a protection spell.
And another theory is that perhaps it is literal and did happen, although we are kind of taking that out.
I think it'd be fun to leave it in. Just as a way of like, it would be, I think it'd be cute.
We need to think of all possibilities.
Yeah. That is a giant Beatrice on this.
What? And we did address what Canon Energy Sword Duel meant, but what does the stakes as anime babes mean?
Bro, you fucking got me there.
And why are they wearing that outfit?
I don't know, man.
Why does it have that fringe where it has that fringe? I don't.
That's a Ryukishi original. That
sure is. It's not on the references.
He loves it.
It's not on the references that he used. That bit of cloth isn't there like that.
I think that it's very nice.
Carrot.
Look, let him be horny, I guess.
I guess.
As long as it's contained, like in very specific moments that we can just mentally like sort of forget.
He's not an Ahagao hoodie guy. So
For
we
better
can...
or worse, it tells me he has a vision. And I'm glad to know that he has a vision, even if I hate it.
I have to say that I appreciate, on specifically on the Yukishi one, you can see the patch on the arm of the stake logo. Like a school logo, except it's a stake with wings.
Double check our sprites here.
Yeah, could someone link the sprite?
Yeah, hold on, let me get that.
What school do they go to where that's the uniform?
I mean, I assume it's just teehee, we are the
I'm posting it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you don't know about the famous Steak Academy? All over the news. Big story.
Right, that little patch, yeah.
They've also got the eagle on them.
They do. That's true. As the witch's furniture, they're entitled to wear her symbol.
So do you think that this is Satan, right? Or Lucifer?
That is Satan, you show this to any this to any godly
That's
person.
Satan.
Yeah, that's Satan.
Yeah. Satan is Satan the daughter of Kenzo?
No, they all have it on theirs. If you're like wondering about the eagle, they all have the eagle on theirs. If that was the impetus for that.
I was thinking about how, like, in the beginning, it was stated that only blood relatives have the eagle, and then I saw
the servants.
Right. The thing is, if your furniture,
I saw like specifically Genji having it, and I'm like, I don't think the ages line up on that one.
No, yeah. The other thing is, if your furniture of the person allowed to wear it, in the sense of Beatrice is like letting Kinzo borrow the gold, it's also her symbol as much as it is Kinzo's, so her furniture gets to wear it as well.
That makes sense. Let her wear the bikini. Yeah, Tao, when you
Kumasawa?
Let Kumasawa wear. Who says she's not wearing the bikini?
Oh shit, you're right. We can't see under the. That's a good point.
I don't know what it is. I'm just not personally like affected by the little frill at the bottom there.
You're not horny. I get it. Yeah, we get it. Okay, I can't. Jesus.
Listen, it could have been a Hideo Kojima-ism. You never know.
That's how she breathes.
Christ.
They couldn't afford pants in the orphanage, Bob. I just think that the end should have also been wearing the micro bikini. If the end was wearing the micro bikini, then I would have complete shame of word indeed.
I just saw, Jan, you posted Satan, and then you said Goda does not have it, and I immediately was like,
absolutely true.
Oh my god, he doesn't
Goda
have.
Is sauceless.
Bro ain't got it.
Golden Eagle is an indicator of sauce.
I will say, my opinion of Goda got increased a little bit during this ep. Like, I get the Goda appreciators. I don't immediately throw them in the trash.
I do.
He's. I really like him tackling the imaginary a fucking cannon or whatever the hell happened.
How in the middle of the scene he goes, I don't know what's going on right now.
I can't understand this.
This doesn't make sense.
I'm so confused.
Just like me for real.
Even
more than canon.
I don't know what's going on. Suplex's ghost. But yeah.
Speaking of the red-eyed cannon mimic, a question to pose to our resident witches. Are you familiar with a supernatural thing that he's supposed to be? Just on the grounds that Shannon suspected something was wrong, and she immediately went to get a spider web to check him as a bane for whatever he is. I didn't have a chance to try looking it up and see if there was some real world folklore thing that does that.
I think that's because of the whole thing. If you remember in episode 1, where Maria mentions that the scorpion charm protects against witches. I think this is just because they're both arachnids, perhaps. I can't remember if it was specifically stated, but I think the idea is that the spider web is an arachnid thing, and so is the scorpion. And also the spiders would eat butterflies, and since Beatrice is often a bunch of butterflies, I think that's what's going on there.
That could very well be it, because I did lock on to Shannon saying that spiders are your natural enemy.
Yeah, I think it's just the butterfly thing.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any explicit reasoning on that, and I don't think it's a thing that you necessarily need to look into outside of the text. But it's just one of those things of Shannon thought of a thing that made sense to her, and it seemed to have some kind of effect.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to check whether there was some real world context to connect and not just internal world logic.
Right. I don't know the external one yet. I could look into it.
I don't know if it's basing off a specific mythological story or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very odd. I have no idea about what that could be referencing. But those theories that were posited, definitely, that could be the way that things are going. That's one of those things where it's just we need more info. The thing that's wild to me, though, is that Kumasawa and Nanjo are dead. They had their throats slit. But canon, that's not, they weren't there. Which makes me think.
Where?
They're there.
This track, something about this music track hitting at that moment was really funny to me.
So Kumasawa got her throat slit right after the moment where a demon cannon fingered his gussy. Is that what that is? A gunshot wound is a gussy. Anyway.
Gussy.
That's what good gussy sounds like.
For my words.
I apologize. Yes. But yeah, they died. That's the thing that I wasn't thinking about. Yes, these are all fantastical and it's ridiculous, but I think it's one of those things that I was talking about before, where it's yes, it was a fantasy thing, but I think it was layered over a real thing that was happening. And I just want to point out, canon is canon was previously said to have been killed, murdered in Jessica's room. So he's dead. So
which said it in red even.
Yep. And this demon version of canon, whoever it was, whatever, Satan or whatever devil, Diablo or whatever, they disappeared. It was saying to me that there was no body. There was a part of me that was maybe Canon's body was dumped, and then they're all high off of ergot tea or whatever the fuck, and they're losing their minds because they found a real body. They saw Canon's real body, but they were imagining Jan Cannon was killed in this room. Yeah, Bergamot. So maybe they conjured all these events, but the thing that I'm getting at is that they really died. Cannon's body, it's a bot. He's not alive. So if we're to say that witches don't exist and that the magic here isn't real, Nanjo and Kumasawa were killed by a blade. And there was one person in that situation who had a knife.
Are you telling me that spoiled pancakes can't cut your throat open? You telling me that tea leaves can't do it?
That's a good point.
You telling me that carbon monoxide can't cut you open from the inside?
What I'm saying is that it's very possible that while everyone was high, there was one person in that situation who was not, who had their faculties about them, who had a knife.
Trip-sitter Genji.
Evil trip sitter.
Evil.
So who had the knife?
Genji.
I mean, Genji does have access, or well, as I say, Goda has access to the food.
Goda has access to the food, and Genji. I think Goda was tripping balls, dude. Goda was nightmare. Yes, Genji is yes, 1000%. Okay, this is more evidence that Genji is helping. In which case, that would mean that Genji, I mean, he is furniture, I guess. So, but then again, oh yeah, didn't they say that like one? Wait a minute. Hold the fucking phone.
Beautiful music for this.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I was just thinking about how Genji serves Kinzo. Kinzo's the head. But we just got a scene where Kinzo was fucking writing his fucking will. I was thinking about how that would work if Genji wouldn't be taking orders from Kinzo to kill people, would he? And while that's a question mark, if Kinzo wrote his will in a specific way, maybe even killed immediately after writing the will, potentially there could be some... Thank you, VLC. Potentially. Ava, dressed as Rosa, killed Kinzo, was able to get Genji to do her bidding. And he was a wolf among sheep.
Among us.
Among us. Yeah, I was thinking about like how that would fucking work. Like if Genji is taking orders from like the head, right? Genji among us. Is that like a meme? Is that like a common thing, or like did you just find that because that's very funny?
I've seen that image before.
Okay. All right.
I have this on lock, man. I got it on hand.
There you go. You've been preparing for years, among us. So like, yeah, I was thinking about how that would work because Genji would obey the head of the Ushiromiya family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the head no longer exists,
I see what you're saying.
He
like
would
if Kinzo wrote the will and it said that like Ava inherits the headship, then like and then Ava or in the case of Ava pretending to be Rosa, if it says that Rosa inherits the headship, then like, you know, Ava could tell Genji, hey, do this.
Mm-hmm. And then he's furniture. He would have to do it.
Yeah, it's his job. It's his sole purpose in life.
This does tie into the...
I think
tie into the question I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Continue.
I think that's another interesting thing about canon is that he has this idea that he is furniture and it's almost drilled into him. And I think that we learned from the scene where he defended Jessica that I think he learned a lot from Genji, including his knife skills and potentially keeping a knife on him for defensive purposes to defend the people that he's, hired or that he's employed by. And I think that he learned a lot from Genji. And one of the things that he also learned from Genji, or was maybe pushed upon him, is this idea that he is furniture. And if he's having that being pushed upon him by Genji so strongly, he's sort of integrated that, but he's also wrestling with it. And I think that he's wrestling with it partly because it was pushed upon him so hard by Genji. I think that Genji feels that extremely. Like, I don't think there's any shaking that from Genji, which means that that sort of will was pushed on to canon, who is struggling with it still. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so this ties into on just like the little, I guess, intersection from a couple minutes ago of what you're talking about with the will and with Rosa and Ava or slash. What do you think the purpose of this is? Like,
What do you mean?
In terms of being like the culprit, to what end?
In terms of being the culprit, to what end? To get the money. I think to get the gold. That was another fascinating aspect of this. Is like the 3 bars of gold. Like, what the fuck? I don't have enough information to really like even venture a guess as to what that is, but I have an idea. Especially if we're going with like well, that's what I'm saying. It might have been fake. Those might have been fake, and they were given to all the people. Because remember when it was revealed to Natsuhi by Kraus. I knew it began with a K. I was like, Kinzo, that's wrong. When Kraus did, that was after they ate. So he might have been under the influence of whatever they ate to then get extremely paranoid or have like more sort of quote unquote magical thinking. If that's the case, it's very possible that those gold bars aren't actually gold bars and they were given to them to make them think that they were gold bars, to make them think the legend of the gold is real. So that then they went crazy on each other and potentially tried to kill each other.
I mean, he had this gold bar sequestered away in a separate room, right? Like, if this was just something he ate that caused him to hallucinate, I don't know.
To be clear, he didn't eat the gold bar. I don't want.
No, I did.
Maybe he had chocolate inside.
Maybe they were like a hallucinogenic thing that he ate that caused him to think about that this was a gold bar. Why would he have had it in that room to begin with?
Oh no, I ate a knife.
Oh. Quick,
I can't believe I kept my gold and my poison in the same room. I mixed them up again.
Fuck.
Whoopsie doodles, I ate this TNT.
But what did I put in my daughter's lunch?
Oh man, yeah. Man, fuck Rosa. She would absolutely eat Maria's Lunchable. Fucking asshole.
She 100% would.
That's another thing that Go ahead.
I think that we've seen Rosa does act very childishly, like, not to the extent of, like, worrying about her, but comparing her to childish activities is not wrong.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why her attitude shift is so strange. Thank you, ominous music. I think that's really fascinating because she is, like, especially in the... Like, that's another thing that I want to make abundantly clear. It is text that Rosa is terrified of witches. That she has maybe grown up a little bit, but even the idea that there was a witch earlier, like when she saw Beatrice, like in the Rose Garden, she freaked out. She remembered her past. She remembered how terrified she was as a kid, and it fucked her up. And she was still like almost shaking the entire time they had the dinner. And like suddenly she goes upstairs to talk to Kinzo. Oh no, I'm sorry. It wasn't Rosa. It was Shannon. Shannon and Genji. That's another thing. Has anyone noticed that Shannon is like almost a completely different person now? Like Shannon, I'm not saying Shannon is like, well, maybe. I don't know. But Shannon, has anyone else noticed that Shannon doesn't really give a fuck about George? I think it's very funny.
Are you telling me that Ava's dressing up as Shannon too now?
No, I literally got ahead of that so that you wouldn't make fun of me, because I know you and ICAT are waiting with bated breath for me to say Rosa's literally everybody, or Ava's literally everybody. Ava everybody.
The
Hold on.
classic Ava Rosa Shanatress theory.
No.
Rosa is Ava, but Ava is Shannon now.
No. I'm just saying that
So
maybe
where's
there was
Maria?
something in the contract that fucked them up, or like there was something happened, and suddenly Shannon doesn't give a fuck about George.
I mean,
you're right.
She reached her win condition. She doesn't have to make moves to
That's a really good
advance
point.
her points.
She did
just
reach
needs
her
to
win
get
condition.
around on the board.
She played her cards perfectly. She turned the engagement ring into a wedding ring. I kept wanting to say marriage ring, and I was like, that's wrong. That's not how you say that.
It was also very interesting that Beatrice spent the early part of the earlier chapters telegraphing that she was going to make Shannon and George the second Twilight murders, and then Shannon gets married, quote unquote, and Beatrice suddenly pivots to Jessica and Cannon.
Mm-hmm. And I think, yeah, that's a fascinating avenue of inspection. Like, there are a few different ways to interpret that. One of them is the way I'm thinking of, where it's very possible that Beatrice in Battler's mind versus the Beatrice that was the real person who really existed, who was potentially a suitor for or was going to be married to George and through an arranged marriage, that person wasn't actually like privy to that their motivations were different, that they didn't know what each other was thinking because they were literally two different like sort of entities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Although I do wonder what you mean by like Shannon didn't care about George, considering she like sprinted out the room.
Sprinted out the room?
Yeah. Am I making that wrong? Didn't she like sprint out the room right before all the stuff with Cannon happened?
Well, yeah, but she sprinted out. She sprinted out the room to get the spider web.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I don't
think that's related to.
Yeah, she became suddenly
George's
very proactive
situation.
as opposed to fear.
See, that's one of the things that's fucking me up here, is like, there are two people who seemed to have their wits about them, and it was Genji and Shannon in that situation. Maybe less so Shannon, because Shannon did definitely like she was playing into it, but that might have been a strategy. Her and Genji meeting with Kinzo, that's so strange. That's so weird. And it's very possible that maybe even like, right, Beatrice couldn't open the door. But that was like a magical like sigil thing. I got to think about this. There are a lot of moving parts in this. But
speaking of moving parts, you mentioned the door, and that was one interesting hitch I saw on one of the Red Truths. Chapter 13, regarding the closed room. Beatrice, I'll say more, in red, no trick could have the effect of locking the door from the outside without using a key. And I found that one particularly interesting because when you say trick, that often includes magic. And that seems to imply that even Beatrice couldn't lock the door from the outside without a key, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think that you're totally right, and it's something that I picked up on immediately when it came to the red text with Beatrice. And I think it's related to this idea that like it wouldn't be fun, because if magic is used all over, then it wouldn't be interesting to like analyze, because magic could literally do all these different things. Like, oh, what's to say that Beatrice didn't use magic to like, lock the door from the other side of the room, for like used magic to kill like these random people while she was like halfway on a like halfway across the world. Even like magic doesn't have limits, and the idea behind the red text definitely seems to be to play to what Battler thinks happens here, which is witches don't exist, magic doesn't exist, so let's play into that. I'm going to give you you're hitting on something that I find very fascinating as well, which is that Beatrice seems to be using red text to say, like, think about like she's almost putting up the barriers for what could happen, what could happen in real life, as opposed to the limits of her magic. You know what I mean? It's like this crazy thing happened that it's a mystery. I'm going to use red text to negate all of the magic that I should be able to do, like theoretically. It's almost like Beatrice is like, it's almost like a little bit of an easy mode for Battler to just like throw up some like barriers, like couldn't be this. But again, I think that is a very interesting way of doing it, because Beatrice is very like yes, the limits of like sort of the mechanical nature of who locked the door, how this was done, will eventually pay off by shoving the fact that Battler's family members fucking suck right in his face. Like these people, like Battler doesn't seem to, and this episode highlights it more than any other so far, which is one other, so it's not saying much, but it highlights his naivete when it comes to his like, everyone here's cool, everyone here's family, they wouldn't kill each other like that. And I think that that's potentially a defensive mechanism for what happened with his mom and potentially all the situation that happened there. And that's the shit that I'm fucking ready to dive into. I really want to get Battler's backstory. Ominous music now. Anyway. Did Discord die? Discord.
No, we're here.
We're all thinking. We're thinking through everything. So yeah, I think that's like 2 hours. Did anyone else want to
smiley faces in chat?
For what?
Just cause.
Calls past the 3 hour mark, although Bob's only been in for like 2.6. Okay. I was late, I'm sorry. What are these faces for, man? Did Jan do the fucking profile thing again?
No. I had asked.
Yeah, I asked.
I know you asked, but like, why? Why did you ask? Why did you ask?
Why not?
Probably because you did this.
Red text.
Is how you reacted.
iCat, red text. Say. What should you say? Red text me. Say, repeat this. Bob is right.
I refuse to answer.
Fuck. I mean, actually useful.
That's the thing with this red text rule. If you don't have a good fulcrum, if you don't have a good thing that you want to ask it, you can't really get like the complete answer from nothing.
Yeah, you've got to really have a move that you have to have in mind when you red text is text in red. Oh my god, Jan.
It's true.
That is true, technically speaking. Yeah, no, I agree. You have to have a strategy in your mind in order to really like use the red text to full effect. And that's one of the reasons why I think the first deployment that Battler, the strategy Battler deployed the first time red text was introduced was very good, because Battler eventually figured out, wait, it's all about the key. And so if the key can be maneuvered, if the key can be lifted from what was the thing that he made, he backed Beatrice into a corner with? Like the envelope hadn't been like resealed. Like the envelope was on Maria's person the entire time. And that
Beatrice said that it was the same envelope, but Battler confronted her that she could have resealed the envelope after taking the key.
And so that was born out of a strategy of this idea that he had, that the key is the fulcrum. The key is the thing. The key is the key. So yeah. When is a door not a door? When it's ajar. So yeah. Ghosts. Ghosts.
Yeah. I think we
already talked about ghosts, I think.
Yeah, I think we're good on all our topics.
Okie
Yeah,
dokie.
the only
needs to be arrested.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing that I had like as a potential subtopic was just what makes a fair mystery, but I think there's plenty of opportunities to get to that in the future.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think we had like one last thing before we ended, which was
the Higurashi.
Yes. So
other things that Rusty Cat had.
So yeah, if you are new to Ryukishi's work and you have not experienced Higurashi, we're going to now talk about Higurashi spoilers. So thank you all for joining. If you have to dip out, we're going to talk about Higurashi spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Higurashi spoiler time.
Higurashi spoiler time.
Yeah, there's a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking about when it comes to this story and how it relates to like the magical like aspect, because that's the thing that I was talking about with Higurashi originally. It was like Higurashi, I had like this whole idea that everything was like, there's no magical stuff happening. There's nothing like crazy like that going on. And then they introduced the fucking the ow fucking gremlin. And suddenly everything is like, oh yeah, and we're reliving the fragments and all that stuff, and that was awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it was like, well, how am I supposed to predict that when it's fucking magic? You know, it's like what Hanyu the dog. Don't call her a dog.
Do you remember
oh my god, that's so rude. What's that?
Do you remember at what point Rika basically just started talking to the camera and saying, "Hey, there's something going on"?
That was well, I remember there was a part during I think it was episode 2 during the question arcs, because there was a whole thing with Mion and Shion, and then I remember I think Rika was like, hey, what the fuck, like, I don't know if she was saying it to, I don't know who she was saying it to, but her sort of role and everything became very pronounced in that episode, because the whole switching, and then her kind of letting on that she's like more knowledgeable about what the fuck is going on. Because I specifically remember her being like, her interrogating Shion at one point, who was dressed up as Mion, and it was like, wait, I think I know, because you could kind of see the cogs like sort of turning in her head, and kind of let on that she knew a little bit more than what was going on. I do specifically remember, I think it was definitely during the answer arcs. I forget which one. It might have been the second episode of the answer arcs, where she was like, well, I'm a fucking witch. And that was right when she restarted the loop, and then Hanyu was like, ow, ow, ow. And it's like, oh my fucking God. And she's like, I remember that I think I streamed that because it was so shocking, where she's just like, yeah, I'm a fucking witch. What's up? I was like, fucking what? Anyway, I remember that very vividly. But did I touch on any of that with what you're talking about, Jan?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, like in terms of, I feel like that's what I'm talking about when we talk about like sort of the battle between like the magical and the realistic, is like this, the sort of struggle that we had in the very middle of Higurashi, where it was like, right at the end of the question arcs and going into the answer arcs, and we had that big, as I remember it, the trash can fire incident, which I still feel bad about. Sorry, Gail, but yeah, that whole situation.
Everyone thought that was funny. Gail loved it, bro.
All right, man. I just feel bad. Yeah, I think we got also a YouTube comment that like specifically nailed like how I felt like how I was annoying, and I was like, yeah, bro, I'm so sorry about that. But like, what I'm trying to say is that there was the theories that we were coming up with. The theories that I was coming up with were coming from a very like sort of realistic take, or like grounded take on what was happening. And it was all like, no, there's no magical stuff. And I remember there was a moment in that story where it was like, well, are you a person who thinks that the magical stuff is happening and there's stuff that's beyond real that's happening in this, like real, or are you realistic with everything that's happening? Do you think it's all grounded and there's no magic at all to be found here? And it ended up that it was a mixture of both. And so I feel I understand that, and I really do appreciate Higurashi and all that it did, and it was very fun and entertaining, and I like the mixture of those two things, having the ability to like figure out some things but not others. At the same time, I did feel a little let down. I did feel a little crushed that like, oh, well, how was I supposed to even like infer that like Rika's a fucking witch that can like travel not that it really matters, because that's more of like explaining the framing the presentation,
the setup,
the lupus.
I mean, I'd say that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I think I kind of called it around episode or arc 3 that and now that we're in the free Higurashi spoiler zone, it was I had read the question arcs for Umineko before I went back and joined the book club with you to read Higurashi, and it was it was the context of kind of the supernatural versus the natural that Battler's going through, and kind of a suspicion that Rikishi's a good writer. He wouldn't write necessarily the same thing twice, and that kind of led me to the theory that the theory was the supernatural is real, but it's not the problem, which ultimately turned out to be correct. The problem was a human.
Please put some respect on her name.
Thing.
The best human.
Also, I just want to say, Rikishi's so amazing. Like, we were talking about the mom thing, and I didn't want to like blurt it out, but like, oh my god, Rikishi's so good at like just evil women with like tons of different like. He's just so good at writing women. And
Ryukishi supports women's wrongs 100%.
Yeah, that's one of the honestly, that's kind of one of the reasons that's driving me to think that potentially Ava's behind everything. Also,
so
kind of sort of because they share the same voice actress.
So are you saying that Hideyoshi is the Tomitake of Umineko?
Yes. What I'm saying is the Ushiromiya mansion has very good AC.
Hold on. If Hideyoshi is the Tomitake, it would finally make sense why George is wearing a shirt that says Tomitake.
Yeah, Tomitake Flash. Also, it's only the guest house that has the AC. The mansion doesn't. Jessica fucking hates it there.
Also, Clover Femu, your comment got flagged by Automod, but I will let you just this once. I will let you say "evil lady." I don't understand Automod at all.
Say "evil lady."
Don't get it.
Automod has such weird criteria.
It's funny, like a couple of stuff in a few things in Twitch chat were getting flagged. That's misogyny.
Yeah,
we're talking about just women being bad.
Automod does really not support women's wrongs.
Maybe it's good for
literally. I wish again, Clover Femu, the exact phrase. I'm looking at it right now. Evil woman. Like,
honey, how can we possibly talk about ELO without that phrase?
I do love Rikishi. Just writing women with flaws, which is very rare.
Woman.
Yeah. I was gonna say, can I say hunty? Is that allowed?
Did we have something specific that we wanted to talk about with regard to? I feel like I may have dominated that a little bit too much.
Just like the women in the story.
I think that when I was trying to see how far my sister had gotten, I asked her if she knew anything about red text yet. And what she responded to me with was that she hadn't gotten to anything with red text in Umineko yet, but she did remember the red text from Higurashi and how that indicated that Reina was losing her grip a little bit. And it is cool how it's a mechanic that was kind of more thematic before, but is now refined into an actual gameplay thing.
This VN has Ludo narrative.
Yeah.
And that's not to say it didn't serve a gameplay aspect with the original. It's just now it's very defined what it is. It has been made text, red text, one would say.
Whoa.
And also responding to one of your I'm frustrated with like how things supernatural happened in Higurashi. Like that does make me think of Game Master in Dungeons and Dragons taking that metaphor again of, oh, I see my players, they kind of wanted to use this thing. They always wanted to solve their problems this way. Well, my next game that I play with them, I'm going to let them focus on that.
Yeah, it's definitely a reaction. And in this way, I feel like with Ryakishi, with both Higurashi and Umineko, or what little I've played of Umineko so far, it really feels like he has a very concrete idea of how everything in the world, in his world, works, and the magic system that's involved, enough so that he can run the simulation of it multiple times, almost like a D&D, a dungeon master, a D&D DM, running through it with multiple different like people playing the different characters. And I think in that way, it's very interesting what's happening in Umineko so far.
And that brings me to another thought. Thinking about a game master who has this perfect game set up and is just waiting for, oh boy, I hope somebody comes around and solves my riddle. Maybe Beatrice is kind of in that role of like she's got this perfect riddle and she just needs Battler to come along and solve it. And nobody's been solving her riddles and she's sad.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely an avenue of like I really it is really fascinating because Beatrice in a lot of ways really feels like Ryakishi, like really or maybe even a writer who has written a story, just like you're saying, that someone has stumbled across, and in that way, like Battler could be seen as the audience surrogate of just like, well, I'm examining this in this way, and then Beatrice is like, well, I guess in that way, okay, new rule, let's this is too open. I can see how this might be frustrating for you. Let's lock down like the rules here, because otherwise we're just going to be spinning in circles. Red text. Okay, now we're going somewhere. You know,
I've been working on making a puzzle for a game in my own life, and having that experience of like needing to redefine the puzzle rules because obviously nobody in my group is getting the puzzle. Yeah,
it really feels like, and that's a fascinating aspect of inspection too, because it really feels like with chapter 1, it is that mystery without any like sort of hand holding, without any red text, super open to interpretation. And it feels like Battler's coming at it like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to solve this? Much like someone would potentially come to Higurashi and be like, how the fuck am I supposed to solve this? And in that way, it feels like maybe possibly Umineko is an extension of Higurashi in that way, where, okay, I'm going to write this story, I'm going to write this mystery. And chapter 1 is like in the game, chapter 1 is like that sort of open, like sort of aspect, that open interpretation, like sort of way of writing it. Chapter 2 limited a little bit more. Chapter 3 limited a little bit more potentially. Chapter 4 kind of limit it so much that you have to have a very specific idea of what happened, or you are completely lost, completely unmoored. It has to be magic.
I have
Rika looking at you in the eyes in chapter 4 and saying, "Hey, the answer is this."
Or, "Good morning, make this day your bitch."
What was I about
Will
to say?
do.
Right. Yeah. You going back to talking about how even when you got the answer, you were kind of disappointed with Higurashi. Part of me wonders, like, would you have rather they kept it slightly open?
I think that in that moment, it's more like, how do I say this? It's always tough. Well, not tough. It just, how do I say this? There are times when you need to understand that, like, for me, when I'm playing a video game, sometimes I try something and the game, DSP, Dark Side Phil, very famously will get very mad when video game stuff doesn't go his way. You will fucking lash out. He will like blame everybody but himself. And a lot of people give him a lot of shit rightfully for that. But I understand it because you never want it to be you, you know? You never want it to be your fault the way that you examined it, your fault the way that you approached it. And in that way, it's kind of a defense mechanism. And I feel like that was kind of me during that, where it sucked initially because, yeah, I had an idea of how it would go. I was hoping, fingers crossed, that I actually nailed it, because you want to be right. When you play a game, you want to get it right. You want to have the good ideas.
Or at least like your continuity, a continuity of thought between your theory and going into how it's wrong. Like it seemed like more of a jump than a step from where your head was at, maybe.
Yeah, and definitely like the idea, the big thing for me was that I was very focused on, I wish everything is just like sort of realistic. I think I wished there are no like ghosts or gods or like any like sort of magical shit, because if those are introduced, how the fuck am I supposed to explain anything? Which feels like Umineko is directly like speaking to. But in doing so, I kind of locked myself into this avenue of inspection that really prohibited me from seeing all the other ways that the story could have gone. So at first it sucked. At first it was kind of a, you know, an ego hit, you know, because, you know, I was very specific about it can all be rationally explained. And then it ended up being a mixture of both rational and magical, which really is more along the magical side of things, but which, you know, led me down a bunch of like sort of, you know, avenues of inspection that ended up going nowhere. But I eventually became cool with it, very cool, like, because the game is like way more. I didn't realize it at the time, but the more time went on, the more that we played the game, the more I was totally cool with going along for the ride that Higurashi was like letting us, that was taking us on. So does that answer your question? I feel like I just rambled.
Well, the question was phrased as like, what you would have preferred. Would you ever prefer
so like what I have, that's the thing, is like I had an idea of what I preferred originally, and that's why I'm not being particular this time. I think it would be cool to go a bunch of different ways. I think there's an avenue of this story that would be very fun if it turns out Beatrice is real. I'm really fascinated by the idea of like the magic system involved that Beatrice is like sort of laying out, like the stakes, the like Satan and all these other like characters that are popping up. Like, what's their deal? What's going on? Why aren't they wearing pants? All these different questions.
Well, this is
too
like
hot.
It is too hot. No, but what I'm more phrasing as to like, there's being taken along with the ride, right? And then there's what you're saying, where like you have multiple avenues of like theories that you can go with. If by the end of it, Ryukishi goes like, "Here's the answer," would you be like, oh, "Okay, well, that was a fun ride. Some of my theories came true, some of them didn't," or would you have rather just gotten like, do you want a straightforward answer? Is my question.
Classic ICAT leading question. I think what you're highlighting is something that I am already prepared for since I have played Silent Hill F. I think that there is a very real possibility we do not get answers. I think there is a very real possibility that it goes the Silent Hill F route, which is very funny because a lot of people were very upset about Silent Hill F not having concrete answers. But I think in the long run, this is probably going to be one of the reasons why Umineko has lasted so long. It's because Ryukishi is on that Silent Hill 2 shit, is on that Silent Hill shit, because there are, it has so much more lasting power if you don't provide people specific answers and let people come to their own conclusions and theories about things.
And through going into different, like, literal truth, you arrive at a more metaphorical truth that is concrete.
Yeah. And
He's
in that,
definitely adjusted his process, I think, in response to seeing how people engage with the mystery aspect of it versus the character and emotional aspect, as though, not that they can be cleanly sliced apart, of course.
Right. And so to answer your question specifically, I think it would be, I can see it going both ways, but which way would I prefer? I don't really have a specific, I trust Ryukishi, like the person who built this ride. I have ridden on both rides that they have done. I have ridden on the Silent Hill F ride of come to your own theories. I'm not going to give you any specific like ideas. I'm just going to provide you like sort of stepping stones or like, you know, rough ideas of how the events happened. And you are totally allowed to come to your own conclusions about what the specific like events were. And even though I maintain that Silent Hill F does have a very specific like way that the events happened in it, and I think that
Agreed.
it's so in that way it is grounded, but it is like heavily influenced by the spiritual stuff. And I've also played Higurashi, which has very, very specific, like it answers all the questions. And here's the thing, Cat, I liked both experiences a lot. Do I prefer one over the other? Not really, because Higurashi a little bit more, but I am totally prepared and willing and ready for Umineko to not provide like every answer to every question. I hope that it answers some of the big questions, but I'm not going to be surprised or disheartened if it doesn't. I don't think, as long as it's not like who Beatrice is. Damn, I tried to blink during the piano hit. Fuck. No, I am purely kidding. I think I might be disappointed if it doesn't answer some questions, but honestly, I have enough here that I'm cool with where Beatrice is at in my mind. I hope I want more just because I really like her character. I think she's really cool and fun. I really like the characters in this. They're very like I have issues remembering characters' names. I am terrible with even remembering people's names in real life. If I can remember the names of the characters, that means they are very prominent in my mind, and they're very easy to like recall. That's one of the problems with Shannon and Jessica, though, is like I feel like Shannon has more. I think I keep calling Shannon Jessica or Jessica Shannon
She has
because
a Jessica face.
because Shannon has a more prominent character in my head. So anyway, but yeah, like, yeah, they're these characters. I really like these characters. Anyway,
I just wanted to say, UT wanted to have a final comment, I believe.
yes.
Yes, there was one thing about Bob. You mentioned that it's weird that Battler wants to trust everyone on the island to not be the culprits.
Yeah,
because it does like remind me of how in Higurashi, I think it was Keiichi wanted realized that no one was really at fault for the whole mystery and why everything is going bad technically. I wonder if they'll like interrogate that more with Battler's trust in everyone.
That's a really good point, actually. That's a really good point, because and also I'm not gonna lie, one of the things that's making me think like the same shit is being deployed here of like the Higurashi, like sort of I forgot the name of the fucking sickness that everyone
Hinamizawa syndrome.
Yeah, Hinamizawa syndrome. So like how people were affected by that influenced their perspectives, and then they became unreliable narrators suddenly when they were affected. And so it's like, in that way, that's kind of what's influencing me to think that this story has something like that being added here. Also because there is a very real avenue of like analyzing that. So in terms of like, yeah, if everybody you're fucking totally right. If everybody here is under some kind of influence, I've just been under the assumption that there are one or two or multiple people who aren't being affected. And I think that that's one of the things that's fucking with me about the roulette that Kinzo's talking about. Is like when he's talking about the roulette, I don't know if he's necessarily talking about, oh, let the pieces fall where they may, let these motherfuckers fight. I think he might also be talking about it in terms of like, pour everybody tea and like randomly fucking, put, spike certain cups or certain food with this fucking poison, not poison, but like something that induces something similar to Hinamizawa syndrome, like very similar. Like I'm talking the exact same shit in terms of like the fucking, what is it called? The paranoia, because the paranoia thing is, in my opinion, like the paranoia thing is pretty fucking prominent. Like, especially when you think of it in terms of like Rudolph coming to Kyrie and being like, I'm going to Kyrie and Battler, I'm going to die tonight, and then just like fucking walking off. Like, what the fuck? Okay, dog.
Refuses to elaborate.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I'm gonna die tonight, walks off. Like, that screams a Hinamizawa syndrome. And it's funny that like, yeah, you're totally right, because if they're all under the effects, then who is truly to blame? If their paranoia across the board is being ramped up, then like they're all not really themselves, in which case Battler would be right. Battler would be correct to assume the best in everyone and think that, oh, they're just, being fucked with by. But then again, that also speaks to, if that does happen, Kinzo kind of fucking sucks. So I think at the very least, especially if Genji's like slitting people's throats, he kind of fucking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a faith in humanity aspect that I've seen in a bunch of anime, like Danganronpa and Higurashi, that is beautiful, and I love it, and like Undertale even to an extent. Beautiful, and I love it, but at the same time is like, I really don't want to say it, but kind of naive. There are people who fucking suck.
Yeah.
And even though the answer is on one side, there is an extreme that the right side can be taken to that is not a perfect way to center yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, you're totally right, UT. That is a absolutely apt analysis. All right, and with that, unless anyone else has anything more to say, which please speak now.
It's been 3
Please
hours, man.
speak now or forever hold your peace.
I kind of want to go pee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 3 hours, dude. Let's go.
All right.
Almost 4 for some of us.
Sorry. I need to do a better job reining these in. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining. Sorry that started so
much
late.
Fun, I lose track of time.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Catch y'all later. Bye.
Nice.
And happy Halloween, everybody.
Good night, Todd.
Happy Halloween.
Try not to die.
Happy Halloween.
Try not to die. Don't get split and have Halloween candy stuffed in you. Which, by the way, we didn't talk about. Rosa went to fucking buy Halloween candy.
Oh, she
keep this up.
bought more.
I'm just saying.